The journey from Takayama to Nagano began with a 2.5 hour scenic drive past mountains and lakes to Matsumoto. The 16th century Matsumoto Castle is the oldest wooden castle in Japan. It's known as the Crow Castle due to its dark black exterior. Rickshaw rides are available in the grounds. It's a flat plain castle and is defended by a moat, which nowadays is full of fish. The castle has a 5-storey dungeon tower. A causeway leads to the castle itself, and there were long queues to get in. This as earlier grew from a seat taken into space by the first Japanese astronaut. The ground floor passage was built wide enough for men in full armour to run through it. On the second floor there's a museum with a display of old firearms and a suit of samurai armour. As we went higher, each floor grew progressively smaller and more crowded, but the views from the top were worth it. Guys in costume entertained the crowds outside. Then we left the castle and grounds to return to the coach. We then went on to the Ishii Miso factory, founded in 1868. Here, miso, the basis of most Japanese soups, is made in the traditional way by fermenting soya beans with salt and koji, a sort of yeast. Each container holds 4.5 tons of miso, and the fermentation takes 3 years. After lunch, we drove 20 minutes out of town to a farm which grows wasabi, the famous, very hot Japanese horseradish. The plants are grown under a black shade net in running water. The net's there to protect the plants from the heat of the summer. On our way out, we saw a sculpture of a wasabi plant, then bought wasabi ice cream, which surprisingly wasn't hot at all. Finally, we drove another 1.5 hours to our hotel at Nagano. The following morning we drove through the apple growing area and deep into the forest of the Japanese Alps. We'd come to see the snow monkeys. Here we went on a mile walk through the forested valley. In places, the path runs alongside a channel which carries water to irrigate the local paddy fields. The area is called Hell's Valley because of the hot springs and geysers. This is where the Japanese macaques like to congregate. They live in large social groups and spend much of their day in mutual grooming. A little further along there are thermal pools. Although winters here are very cold, until a few years ago the monkeys avoided the pools. But then a youngster accidentally fell into the water. It was such a pleasant experience that the rest of the group soon joined in, and have been soaking here every winter since. Thousands of people come to see the monkeys every year, and webcams have been set up so anyone can watch from home. Eventually we managed to tear ourselves away and went back into the valley to visit the Zenkoji temple. We parked near the museum, which venerates the spirits of dead soldiers, and went into the complex via a side entrance. The temple was built in the 7th century, and the modern-day city of Nagano began as a town built round it. In front of the temple is a large incense burner. People believe that the smoke from incense has healing properties, and that covering their heads with smoke will make them smarter. Rubbing the statues is supposed to bring luck. The monk chatted to visitors.
Thank you so much for your time.
From the front of the temple, the road ran straight into the centre of Nagano. A small bridge crosses a lotus pond near the temple. Opposite this are statues of Jizo Bosatsu, the guardian deity of children and travellers. We returned to the coach for a second night at the hotel.